Good morning.
My name is Daniel Wesley Robertson, and I was a man of sport all my life. My father, Alexander, and my mother, Jane, were wealthy owners of a lumber yard in Glens Falls when I was born in 1857. Now, they always told me not to rely on them, but to seek opportunities on my own, which I hope to be able to do. As a young boy, until over the age of 70, I excelled in baseball. We lived in downtown Glens Falls on the corner of Pine and Elm Street. So living downtown afforded me many friends, many teammates. So as a young boy, I was running bases and throwing pitches. My youth was ideal. I had a great education. I came to know and love God and Jesus. I had a deep appreciation for the outdoors, and especially the Adirondacks. I decided to go to college in Connecticut, to Wesleyan College. As longtime members of the Christ Church Methodist, my folks felt it was a good idea for me to get a good Christian education. Now, Wesleyan College had been founded in 1831 as an all-male school. Well, by 1870, it had become one of the first coeducational colleges in America. This was a very controversial topic, and very heated discussions were held with supporters of the college. There was so much pressure put on the board of the college by the Alumni Association that by 1880, the coeducational aspect was rescinded, and it reverted back to an all-male school. Now, when I arrived there in 1875, at just 115 pounds, there was doubt whether with my thin frame, I'd be able to play team sports at all. But my freshman year, I tried out for the baseball team, and not only did I make the team, I was on the first team, on the varsity. By the time I graduated, I was captain of that squad, and I received many offers for tryouts from major league teams, including the Hartford, Connecticut Dark Blues. Now, don't you get the idea that all I did was play games? I really did study. I became Phi Beta Kappa, and I was 7th in my graduating class. I was ready for anything. After graduation, I returned to Glens Falls, and I did refuse all offers from my father to join the family company. Remember, they had taught me to seek opportunities on my own. The first opportunity came from W.F. Griffin, who was the owner of the Glens Falls Buckboard Company. The Buckboard Company was located just a few doors from our parents' new house at 68 Warren Street, and it consumed most of the block from 57 to 68 Warren Street. Would you believe it was only a 5-minute walk from bed to office? So I took advantage of this, as most youngsters would do at this time. It was a good job working for the Buckboard Company. With my finances secure, I went back to playing baseball. Of course, part-time, after work and weekends. In short order, I was playing for the Glens Falls Pardos. George Pardos was the proprietor of the American Hotel and our sponsor. And when we won, we would head over there. I also played part-time for another team in a different league called the Hudsons. The average inn, in this case, the hotel, was located in the north corner of South Street. And the ballpark was located on 2nd Street. Well, when we moved over to the American Hotel after a game, it was a pretty raucous walk, especially when we won. The Glens Falls Buckboard Company provided me with a good income and a good future. Our buckboards were different than Jobert and White's, which were exotic, elegant coaches for the very rich. The Glens Falls Buckboard Company aimed their products for the average citizen. A one-seated buckboard would cost $175. A two-seated buckboard would cost $350. Well, after 15 years or so of being in the business, we began to see the handwriting on the wall. You see, things were changing. We looked into manufacturing motorized vehicles, but so had Jobert and White. As a matter of fact, back in 1893, we read about the Duryea brothers installing an internal combustion engine in a buckboard. Can you imagine that? Putting the horse right out of business? Well, we knew our days in the carriage business were almost over. And soon, the end of the carriage trade would be over. So I went looking for a better job, one with a solid future. So I approached John Clendon, and John and I partnered on the Robertson shirt collar and cuff factory. Then we tried to increase our business, and we talked with Joseph Fowler. Joseph Fowler joined with us, and he became the principal owner of the company and renamed it the Joseph Fowler Shirt Collar and Cuff Company. And this operation was at 7678 Glen Street, second and third floors, and it employed 1,800 people. I did very well. It was a growing business. After 8 years, I let them buy me out, and I went to work for the Glen Collar and Cuff Factory in Boston as a salesman. I carried a catalog of the products of the Glen Shirt Company, and I could supply our local merchants in quick order, whereas if it was all done locally, it might take a month from beginning to end to merchant of a shirt. Well, I could supply this in less than a week. I did very well, but I was also very lucky. You see, in April of 1903, there was a very bad fire in downtown Glens Falls that destroyed many businesses. The Joseph Fowler Shirt Company was one of those businesses. Their losses totaled more than $225,000, and they were never able to rebuild. Consequently, 800 of Glens Falls citizens were without employment. Again, very lucky. When I joined the shirt company, my finances were quite secure. So I decided it was time for me to settle down with a wife and start a family. Father had died, and mother was living all alone at the family house on Warren Street. So I decided it would be best to move in with her. Next door to our house were the Persons, Charles and Sarah. Well, Charles was a spiritualist, and he held seances. This made mother very uneasy and very uncomfortable. But despite her uncomfortable feelings about this situation, she encouraged me to get married. Here I was in my 40s. It was getting a little harder to get around those bases. So I put my energies into forming the very first alumni athletic association at Wesley College. And doing that, I became the first president. But where was I supposed to find a bride? 42 years old, still filled with vim and vigor. But I didn't want a 19 or 20-year-old girl. I wanted someone just old enough to be able to supply me with a child, a son to carry on my life in sports. Well, I was introduced to Susan Orinda Paris. Susan was the daughter of Urias and Cordelia Paris, who lived on Pearl Street in Sandy Hill. Susan's father had died just a few years previous, and her mother was afraid that Susan would be left all alone. Well, the Paris family, although not wealthy, did have lawyers and plant managers in the family. Susan's brothers were doing very well. Well, I swooped in and swept the family off their feet, and we were married in 1899. Well, would you believe? In 1990, Sarah gave birth to a son, Alexander Paris Robertson. Now, Alexander was an excellent student, much like his father, and he became a lawyer. As a matter of fact, he was city judge for 14 years, and he was a county judge in Warren County from 1957 to 1970. Before Mother died, she and I became financial supporters of the Glens Falls Home for Aged Women. We saw the need and we responded to that. We established with our cash contributions the endowment fund to support that fine institution. I was asked to play baseball for the last time in my Wesleyan class's 50th reunion. Well, I felt pretty spry. I played the game, but the bat was more appropriately used as a cane after that, and I didn't play baseball anymore. I settled into Rotary meetings, the Masons to the country club, and the Glens Falls Free, or the Queensbury Crandall Free Library. I felt that I was really wearing out. And in the winter of 1931, I died, just 6 weeks short of my 74th birthday. I received many tributes about my Christian charity and about my youthfulness. But the one tribute that affected me the most was from the youth, who through my founding of the Glens Falls Recreation Commission found the joy of sport in their life. Susan remained on Earth until 1947 and died at the age. Alexander lived a very good age. He died at 88 years old in 1988. Well, I think I had a good story, and I thank you all for listening. Good day.